Vladimir Putin, the Gazprom geezer. He must be some kind of Julius Caesar, yeah? Vladimir Putin, he is kicking ass. Where's my oil, baby? Where's my gas? Vladimir Putin, he is on the phone. He's saying, leave my Donbass homies alone. Vladimir Putin, he's giving no quarter. He's leading the revolt against the New World Order. Yeah, Vladimir Putin. He's the Gazprom geezer. The 21st century's Julius Caesar, baby. 1st of April, 2022 is The Beautiful Truth with Fintan Dunne reporting. I told you he'd signed the decree, which he did last night, and that we had 5 days left for the Western Financial Empire. I said that on Monday, and here we go. He did it. This is what happened. Today I signed a decree that establishes the rules for trading Russian natural gas with the so-called unfriendly states. If you want our oil, you open accounts in Russian banks in rubles and you use our mirror payment system, not the SWIFT system from which you've banned us, in order to make the payments. It's fairly straightforward. And don't take it personally, because look, here's some basic realities, like without taking it personally, okay? Nobody sells us anything for free. And we're not going to do charity either. It means that existing contracts will be stopped. I'd like to emphasize again, in a situation where the financial system of Western countries is used as a weapon, and companies from these countries refuse to fulfill contracts with Russian banks, enterprises and individuals, when assets are frozen, it makes no sense to use the currencies of these countries. Naturally, this cannot continue, since in case of further gas supplies and their payment, according to the traditional scheme, new financial receipts in euros or dollars may also be blocked. That wasn't all that was happening. While he was doing that, Lavrov, the foreign minister, was on his way to India, and the rest of the Brics wall that the New World Order was running into was put together. Check this out also.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is on high-stakes visit to the Indian national capital. This is the most high-profile visit from Moscow to India since Russia launched the special military operation in Ukraine. Lavrov held a bilateral meeting with India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, where he lauded India's neutrality in the Ukraine conflict. And according to Jaishankar's tweet, the two leaders discussed bilateral cooperation and developments in Ukraine, Afghanistan, Iran, Indo-Pacific, ASEAN, and the Indian subcontinent.
The oil supplies and supplies of high technology. If India wants to buy anything from us, we are ready to discuss and to reach mutually acceptable forms of cooperation.
Smiles all around, folks. Smiles all around. Brics. So let's just see what kind of wall the New World Order just ran into. Brics be Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Those five. And of those five, the core, Russia, China, India, all signaling their unity in recent days. As I announced earlier on in the week, forming a currency bloc, creating a new international currency. So you are watching it roll out. This is the fall of the Western financial empire. They have been ambushed. Their own arrogance has been their downfall. If I was to summarize it, I would summarize it as follows. That an important message now for passengers aboard HMS Titanic. There have been rumours going about the ship that there may be some kind of difficulties due to a collision. Indeed, there has been a slight collision, but please be not concerned. The ship is unsinkable. There is never anything to worry about. You see, 104 years later, history repeats. the unsinkable ship. Because there's more going on here than just Ukraine, obviously. There's more going on even than just Russia and China and India coming together. It's an entire Brics revolt. It's something that's been brewing for 10 years. They've been waiting for this moment. And it has huge implications, because what Russia's also doing is pegging its currency to gold. 5,000 rubles to the ounce. What's the implications of that? Well, the implications of that is they're pegging their currency to gold at 5,000 to the ounce. So let's suppose at the end of next week in the United States, there's been another load of dollars printed off, thus reducing the price of dollars in the market because of overcapacity of dollars, thus lowering their actual value, thus increasing the price of gold in dollars. If you get onto the Russians, though, and ask them what's their price, they'll say, still 5,000 rubles. See what's going to happen? Dollar-based, euro-based is going to inflate. That's what's going to happen. They keep QEing. They're just debasing their own currency now, because everyone else is tired of playing the game where they get paid in euros and dollars that end up being debased. And everybody wants to go to a hard currency international system. Basically hard-backed, but not a rigid gold standard. It's a quasi-gold standard, mostly for trading purposes. Who wants to get into all the details on this? It's nerdy and too boring. But it's decentralized techno-based, cryptocurrency-based, distributed central banking with trade bolted on and using hard currencies. And that's that is a complete global revolution in trade. It's taken place. Nobody is talking about this. Even in alternative media, they're not seeing this big context at all of what's actually going on. A criminal cartel seized control of the US financial system during the Clinton era. And that cartel swindled the world with junk bonds that caused the 2007-2008 financial crash. It rescinded its international anti-ballistic missile and other treaty considerations. It began a global war on terror triggered by a false flag attack, which was instigated by itself, the 9/11 attacks, and then proceeded to march through Iraq, Afghanistan, and handing over to Hillary Clinton, then subsequently on to Libya and Syria and Ukraine, destined to be the next Afghanistan in the center of Europe. A criminal cartel powered by and having at their disposal the world's global reserve currency, and that's over now. I'd like you to just listen to, just have a listen to this. Catherine Austin Fitz, you heard from her last night, and she explained how what Putin is really doing, along with Karl von Wolfram, is that he's setting the state back over the private sector. And the reason that's important to do is because the private sector in the United States has looted the state entirely. We'll let Catherine just give you some background to this here.
All the establishment in Washington is terrified and doesn't know what to do and is going along. You know, they're all trying to, it's almost like the Stockholm Syndrome. They're all terrified and they're all, looking for a way to adapt and pretend this really isn't happening. I mean, since the Kennedy assassination, there has been a remarkable amount of Stockholm Syndrome behavior, because I will tell you something, Christina, it's phenomenal how many people have been assassinated. So I don't know if you've ever seen, I have an article called Meditations at the Crossroad about my mother's assassination. And I mention lots of names, including, because if you look at the group that I hold responsible for my mother's death, they're all the people who were in on the Kennedy assassination, or many of them were.
Why was your mother assassinated?
my mother was assassinated at the time of the Church Commission. And I don't know exactly what she was doing, but I knew she was doing something. And it wouldn't surprise me if she was talking to one of the commissions. But she was absolutely talking too much. And she really believed, she had watched the narcotics trafficking come into our neighborhood and destroy our neighborhood. And she was furious about it. And she was furious about what this group, the Bush group, was up to. And what happened was, the day that it was announced that George H.W. Bush would go into the CIA as part of the Church Commission cleanup. Remember, they fired Colby and put in Bush. She went nuts. And to listen to what she had to say, which was, she was pretty angry. She was going to do something. I have no idea what she was going to do.
Wow.
But she was one of those people who thought she had standing.
How did they kill her?
Read the article.
Okay.
Catherine Austin Fitz has been on the inside of this for 30 or more years and knows it from deep inside. I've only been at this for 24 years or so, researching these people and investigating the New World Order. I'd reached the same conclusions her mother had, that it was a horrible moment when George Bush Sr. took over the CIA as a result of the Church Commission. The Church Commission, rather than being an opportunity to reform the already horrible practices of the CIA, was actually used as a way of taking over the CIA, under the smoke which was generated by the Church Commission investigations. Catherine Austin Fitz can connect a lot of dots for us. I'd recommend you listen to the full interview with Christina Borgeson of Whistleblower Newsroom. It's terrific. It was done just in the last 10 days or so, and is another deep backgrounder which will help explain it to you. One really key thing that she does is connect the dots from the looting of the US system to the COVID. According to her analysis, it's no surprise that COVID emerged with its extremely high attrition rates in the elderly, because their operational game plan going forward is to ensure that they cover up for the huge hole in everybody's retirement savings and the medical costs which they face in later years, by eliminating most of them at an early age, if at all possible. So, a rather gruesome reality to the consequences of the looting of the US financial system. We have financial systems that have been looted entirely, and that's the seedbed of this, is the acts of this criminal cartel and the extraordinary way in which, through a wave of assassinations and invasions of countries and all other methodologies of resisting this moment, we have nevertheless finally arrived at this moment where enough of the world is strong enough to break free, not of the dollar, not of America, but of the power structure behind the scenes, which is represented by Klaus Schwab, WEF, UN, IMF, World Bank, the Fed, the City of London, and the families behind the Federal Reserve System. A momentous day indeed, 1st of April 2022, which will be remembered for some time. Today, the rest of the world will coalesce around this, in effect, international currency which has been launched by the signing of that decree by Vladimir Putin, and the growing and obvious and visible integration and cooperation between the Brics countries and other independent nations who will coalesce around their distributed central banking system, which will have no single reserve currency, nobody controlling the game, and everybody participating as equals. Quite a moment, eh? Which only leaves us the problem of dealing with the New World Order at home and getting the reform we need in order to make sure that our economies don't just turn into a complete absolute disaster, which they have been turned into anyway, because they've had no interest in serving the primary needs. They're run by people who are living off in economic fantasy land and steered at the top by people who are engaged in looting on a massive scale. So now the changes flow. So now nothing will be the same again. Let's hope these people get the message. Let's hope they do. But obviously we are in significant danger of a 9/11 scale event in order to prevent the geopolitical implications of what's playing out. We'll see. Either way, it's never going to be the same again, because today, April the 1st, 2022, the rest of the world won its independence and we moved to a distributed system of international finance. All right, I'll be back next week with more stuff on where we go from here, because we have some serious problems we need to deal with, and those can no longer be solved externally, so we're going to have to solve them internally. But also we have huge opportunities and new visions opening up as I think people begin to loosen up entirely about the way they look at things and reevaluate everything. This happened after the fall of the Soviet Union, you know, when people there woke up, although they didn't do so fully. We'll see what happens here. All right, I'll be back next week. I hope you'll join me for that. But in the meantime, for a break for news, this has been Fintan Dunne reporting. Thanks for joining me.